do it live.
Hey guys, happy Wednesday, happy new comic book day. Hope you got your comics. I know I did. They're gonna be amazing. But we're not gonna talk about that today. We're gonna do another guest speaker. Yes, Lieutenant Junior Grade Owen is back, and he wants to do another comic. So let's bring him in.
Hey guys, so I'm back because I'm really excited. I'm not going to be talking to you about a single issue or anything like that. I'm going to be talking to you about a series, and that series is Serenity. Now, this is something that I've discussed with other people who love to read comics, but for some reason, they didn't know that Firefly continued on in comic book form. Alright, and if you don't know what Firefly is, I highly suggest you watch it. It's on Netflix, it's on Hulu. You should buy it because it is one of the greatest television shows out there. It's a space western. That's a genre that's not really, I mean, there's plenty of potential, but they never really did anything with, you know, that genre, except for Joss Whedon. Everything he touches is pretty much gold. But Firefly, where I digress. Serenity. So Serenity. All right, let's start with Those Left Behind. All right, prequel to the movie Serenity. It talks a story about where the characters got to the point where you have Book off the ship of the Firefly class ship Serenity. You know, what's up with Simon and River, and why is there so much contention between him and Mal in the movie is touched on. Where did Inara go? How did she end up on her own planet? You know, away from Mal. That's also touched upon. And then you also get like old returning characters. The Hands of Blue are in there, and you get the returning character from the first episode Serenity, Dotson, who comes back, and he's got this crazy, you know, eye thing where Mal had shot him, and he's constantly searching for vengeance on Mal, and he's going to kill him. And they set up this ambush over this old battlefield, which was all the brown coats that were snuffed out in, quote, a blink of an eye over some gold that the crew's trying to recover because they're a group of smugglers and they're always on the run. So that takes place before the movie. And then they did a number of stories. It was called Better Days. Like, the idea was, what would happen, because you always watch these episodes, you know, what if there was just a perfect day and they pulled off the heist and everything went great? What would they do? How would they celebrate? And that was that issue. It was alright. Then they touched upon one of my favorite characters, Shepard's book. I was really excited because they were going to touch upon his past in the book, Volume 3, A Shepherd's Tale. So you get to live the life of Book kind of backwards. It starts with him, you know, fighting on this gun, taking down an Alliance ship, and you're wondering, how did such a peaceful guy get the, you know, knowledge and willpower to shoot down Alliance craft, you know, type of skills set. And it goes backwards in his life to each moment where, you know, it starts off, you know, and he's eating a bowl of soup. It's a really good story. There were some things that I didn't like about his past. I thought, wow, I didn't see that coming. But I kind of like that because it's one of those, you know, like, I might have written it differently, but I could see what they were doing with it, and the fact that I didn't see it was surprising. And I always like surprises. Alright, now, every good volume series, you know, if you ever read comic book volumes, they always have that last-minute one-shots. And the last-minute one-shot on A Shepherd's Tale got everyone excited because it was a tale of Zoe, and she's talking to these two guys, and you notice in the last scene, she's pregnant with Wash's child. And that was the first reaction of, we're going to be getting post-Serenity stuff, you know, laid out in comic book form. And that really got the Firebase, the Browncoats, all excited and ready to go. Like, yes, you know, I want to see what happens past this movie. Does Mal end up with Inara? Does Simon and River, or not Simon and River, Simon and, Kaylee get married, you know? What happens with River? Does she ever fully recover? You know, all good things answered, finally, you know? What was Blue Sun? Going on and on and on. So they finally released that. It was called Leaves on the Wind. Oh my gosh, let me tell you. Man, this was good. Alright, I thought, so I kind of had my skepticism because, you know, there were some things like, they killed off Book, they killed off Wash. How can you continue the story without that? Yeah, they did. But they also brought in some new characters that are just as, like, cool and crazy. Because you got Bay, who's, like, started a new resistance, you know, to take down the Alliance. You got interesting stuff with Jane going on, where he's separated off the crew of, or he's off of Serenity. And you figure out the reason why about that, you know, and he's trying to get back. And you learn some things between, like, I'm not going to spoil everything about it because you definitely need to read it. In terms of Mal and Inara, they have some steamy scenes together, if you know what I mean. Yeah, and also Zoe. That was the best thing about Leaves of the Wind, is you fully see Zoe and the warrior woman that she is as she gets captured by the Alliance and put on a prison planet, you know, and held there. And that's like the plot of the story, is they're all coming together and they're coming up with a plot to break Zoe off of this prison planet. And it's really good. You got returning characters like the Operative, and you got Jubal Early, who was a bounty hunter in the last episode of Firefly, comes in and has some good lines in there, you know, and a good battle with Kaylee. And gosh, yeah, probably my favorite thing about it was you get a sense of Mal's war hero persona coming back, you know, because he's looked upon as a soldier who didn't surrender like the rest of the Browncoat High Command, and they're asking him to be this head of this new resistance, and he's very reluctant to do that because he understands like what the war was and what it did to him, and he doesn't want to go through that again. But at the same time, it's Zoe. And the other cool thing was they added a new character in there called Callista. She's like the new would-be villain, part of the same program that River went through. So if that's telling you anything, it's going to be quite an epic battle and showdown between her and River, which just so happens to happen in the sequel that I'm going to talk to you about, that I was like really excited. So this is the newest one, No Power in the Verse, you know, which, you know, obviously is a play on words of the last episode of the series Firefly, where, or actually not the last episode, it's a play on words of that episode in Firefly where they had to go rescue Wash, and you see River gets a hold of a gun, and before she had never really demonstrated anything, she just blindly runs out and fires 3 shots and kills 3 guys without even aiming. It's like she did the math, and she just looks at Kaylee, and they had been playing a game before, and Kaylee's like, no power in the verse can stop me from getting this ball, because they were playing, what's the game called? You throw the ball down and you collect the things. Jacks? Yeah, they were playing a game of jacks, and she threw the ball down and she's collecting the jacks. And she says, no power in the verse can stop me. Well, River just kills 3 guys. She looks at Kaylee, and it's just like, no power in the verse could stop me. And it's just super creepy and super good, because it was just, wow, like, crazy. So they brought that line forward, and they titled this new episode, No Power in the Verse, because it's River-centric. You learn a lot about the program that River was in. It's her battling Callista. There's some good scenes between her and her sisters, because there were multiples of them, you find out. And you also kind of go through this Rogue One moment where, like, Rogue One was sweet in that we saw the goods and the bads between the Rebel Alliance. And in Serenity, No Power in the Verse, you have Mal, who's meeting up with kind of the terrorists of the Browncoats, like the bad guys who aren't afraid to kill civilians, who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty with assassinations, like dishonorable, scummy people. And they're coming back, and they're starting to do suicide bombings and all this stuff, and it's just crazy, because back to Mal's dilemma, where they're wanting him to start a new revolution against the Alliance, and he's reluctant, but now he's seeing what happens, you know, when he doesn't step forward, and who is going to be stepping forward, and how good does that go with his moral compass. You know, can he live with some terrorist running the new resistance against the Alliance type of thing. And it's crazy. I'm not going to spoil the ending. You should definitely pick it up and read it. You know, if you don't know anything about Serenity comics, definitely pick them up and read them. Definitely watch Firefly, though. It's a good show. It's a great comic book series. And let's bring back ComicManJake.
Alright guys, thanks for watching this comic review. I hope you enjoyed this comic review. And tell me down in the comments below, have you seen the actual Firefly series? It's amazing. I'm not gonna lie. He's the one that got me into it, and holy cow, I am pissed they only did 1 season. I am so pissed off they only did 1 season. The movie's great too, but seriously, come on. We could have done another season. I mean, come on, Nathan Fillion, guys, come on. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. But comment, that's your comment down below. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'll see you guys all next week. Peace out.